The DCEU has for years treated us to an assortment of its characters on a platter of superhero delights, but has yet to find the sort of cohesion and structure to really unite their heroes. The studio has abandoned and changed a lot of story arcs due to fan and critical reaction. Can't help but think that if DC had focused less on superpowers and a little more on super planning, like the MCU, that one of the most dynamic characters in DC history could still bring DC its Thanos. It lies in the limitless layers of Lex Luthor. Look, before y'all at me, just know that we all have love for these properties, but at this point, it's kind of hard to ignore the fact that no one has any idea where the DCEU is going next, and that's kind of exciting. Sure, there's a few Batman, a couple Jokers from multiple Earths possibly wandering about. Wonder Woman has hung out with Aquaman at some point in time, but they're keeping it chill now. Flash is gonna have a movie, who knows what's up with Cyborg, and Man of Steel 2 is... That all being said, creating cohesion between some or most parts of this is not going to be easy, and many might be clearly wondering how Warner Brothers is going to make it all work. The easy way out might be a Flashpoint movie, sure, where he runs fast, multiple Earths, magic weirdness everywhere, etc. But what if, like Thanos to the Avengers, we introduce a character that could simply have been a looming threat out there all along? Enter Alexander Joseph Luthor. You see, it could be that WB studio execs took away the wrong lessons while watching their competing studio introduce the Mad Titan as the big boss alien. Sure, he's big, muscular, and menacing, but what made Thanos stand out was his intellect, his motivation, and his ability to lead. Only at first DC glance is it easy to parallel him as physically closest to Darkseid since, you know, they're basically knockoffs of each other. Lex Luthor, however, has a history big enough to truly be worthy of his own Infinity Saga. Like many iconic big bads, Luthor has had many origin stories, and since his first appearance in 1940's Action Comics 23, he's gone through more than a few changes. Besides being one of the most intelligent minds on Earth, he's also one of the wealthiest. This makes him easily recognizable in the public eye and thus easy to install into any of the storylines throughout DC based on the scale and reach of his empire alone. It's his ability to tinker, strategize, and manipulate that puts him a cut above. How far above? Well, for those who just think he's a rich man with power, let's not forget this guy fooled enough folks to think he was a hero that he got a planet called Lexor, where he's worshipped. Yeah, that's a thing. Lex is a natural leader, and that leadership and ability to create minions out of other major supervillains is definitely something that could make him the ultimate baddie. He's been a member of the Injustice League, the Secret Six, the Secret Society of Supervillains, and of course, the Legion of Doom. While the ongoing nerd debate on who is smarter rages between Brainiac and Lex, let's not forget which actually ended up leading the supervillain team. It's those orchestration skills that make him the rightful DC Uber outlaw. The fact that he could have always been right there, waiting in the wings throughout the films we've seen already without a retcon, looms pretty large. Even if you're not crazy about Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal, DC still has an out, because Jesse was revealed to be the young son of an older Luthor. The possibilities are endless because, like Thanos, Lex is inevitable.
I am inevitable.
What makes Lex a perfect villain for DC is that he happens to be a human who thinks the pinnacle of achievement should be through human ingenuity. It just happens to mostly be his own. He resents being born into being super. He believes in virtuous things like hard work and determination, but uses them for the good of himself as opposed to the good of everyone else. Lex uses his skills and cunning to elevate himself to a level equal to the superheroes he fights. Where the Joker uses chaos and traps, Lex sets up entire scenarios and corrupts the systems that exist to get his way. Lex Luthor is a master manipulator and has been from his days as a young scientist in Smallville to his days as President of the United States. If Thanos is ultimately stopped by Iron Man, what do we do when Lex Luthor is basically Iron Man in reverse? He's rich, brilliant, and technologically superior to the majority of the DC universe. That's why the idealism of Superman grates on Luthor, because he feels it's unearned. It's this ideological conflict that's missing from the villains in the DC movies thus far. He could have repercussions that compete with the arcs of every JLA character. Lex is as tech savvy as Cyborg, and more popular than the Flash could ever hope to be. He's a corporate polluter that could threaten Atlantis, and he could disrupt the stock price of Wayne Enterprises with a phone call. Lex is the perfect character to represent the glass that Wonder Woman breaks through and the face of traditional power structures. By the time you get to Superman, he's just his arch nemesis, dude. Now do you see why Apex Lex is DC's answer to the Mad Titan? Think about it. Hey, at the end of the day, is it the brains or the brawn that make the ideal movie baddie for you? Let us know what you think below. To us, the depth and scope of Lex's story really seems endless. Do you think it might be time for the long and short of the DC universe to rely on the lies of lying Lex Luthor? Let us know, or just drop your best Lex Luthor limerick. Thanks, and subscribe for more from Screen Rant.